The notoriety and attention motive by a collective that was slightly different from yesterday. Okay, in terms of passengers. Alright? So, observations from the passengers as opposed to the South African or Americans, Canadians, what it was, attention and notoriety motive. It's pretty obvious from the surface level that that guy's not motivated ideologically or even financially. He's just going into whatever situation he can to get as much attention as possible, to have his ego boosted. It's as simple as that. Okay, so it wasn't enough to do whatever he did before. He has to just go more and more. It's always more. It's always exaggerated. So the guy has $4 billion, not $200 billion. We're talking about Mr. Musk, which is what we're talking about. So he's got a notoriety and attention motive. So that's the surface level of reality. Now let's look at how the underside of reality works, okay, or might work. It's all about interpretations, projections, and outright fucking clash of worldviews. And so the truth is often lost in that. So let's have a look at what Donald Trump's allegedly been doing. Well, Donald Trump's obviously someone who has the notoriety and attention motive. He's a guy that's definitely seeking adulation and attention no matter what. He always has to be better than the other ones, so he'll put them down just to get attention, and then he feels better. So that's how that works. Okay, so beyond that, though, in terms of the influences around them, you'll probably find that Donald Trump's intent to annex the 51st state, annex Canada as a 51st state, is that he wants to control Musk. If you look at that subliminally, there's no, like a lot of people are going that, like, Donald Trump's insane. And he is insane. The guy has Korsakoff syndrome, as well as narcissistic personality disorder. So Donald Trump having Korsakoff syndrome and narcissistic personality disorder is basically demented, okay? But with that sort of demented type of thing, he might be picking up on things at his subconscious level that and wildly misinterpreting it because he sees it through the lens of a megalomaniac. Okay, but that has to do, international states and stuff like that. So why Donald Trump wants to annex Canada is because he's trying to annex Elon Musk. Okay, it's as simple as that. Elon Musk, if they talk about him as a South African, he was born in Pretoria and his family was dodgy, had conflicts of interest. His mother, May, was from Saskatchewan in Canada and was part of the technocratic Nazi party over there, and his father became pro-apartheid over time, and he's moved back to Canada, and he's grown up, spent the rest of his teenage years in Toronto, and then he's, blah, 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 that's his story, right? Okay, so in effect, he's a Canadian, right? Okay, he's a Canadian with a South African accent. So he's a South African Canadian, emigrate to the United States. And of course, he spent more time in the United States than those other countries, so he's a Yank now. But he'd be talking about where he was most recently before becoming an adult, or as he became an adult, once he became a United States emigre. That means he's a Canadian. Okay, Elon Musk is a Canadian. A Canadian who was born in South Africa. Okay, if you look at it that way, that's what he actually is. And so Elon Musk is in a South Park hell situation where they blame Canada. Okay, so Donald Trump, who has been described as keck by 4chan for quite a number of years now as deliberate spellcasting activities on their behalf, okay, not this body's behalf, 4chan's behalf. This body's the researcher, not the caster on that subject. Okay? Those people have been apportioning to Donald Trump for quite a number of years now that he's the god of darkness, that he's Keck, the bringer of destruction. Okay? Right? Which means if he's the god of darkness and it connects up to the greater regional, what that means, which means he's the devil. He's Satan. Okay? So where does South Park come into it? Why blame Canada? Well, that's a completely different story. Except we can tie it into the idea that people like 4chan users and people of that particular mindset seem to have what's called a conspiratorial mindset. So if someone came along who actually knew about a genuine bona fide conspiracy involving the United States of America having an either actual faction within its military or opposer faction infiltrating the Australian military and putting implants in Australian soldiers as an act of unlawful experimentation, which was used by Russia, China, or another group to be fucking misactivated using a mobile fucking cell tower, which broke a national security arrest that was dangerous to civilians, and the implant was subsequently destroyed as a consequence. And as a consequence as well, there was some minor chasing activity, or major, depending on your point of view, about AI miners that's being chucked from a SpaceX goddamn fucking spaceship. And so that's a genuine conspiracy theory. Here's a fake one. A fake one is the belief that cartoon characters are real. Okay? Cartoon characters are artificial. They're not necessarily artificial intelligence, but they're fictional. So if you put it like that, say, hang on, that person that you just heard talking just said something, wow, that I just throw you and just go, that can't be fucking right. Sorry, but that part's true. The fictional part is the cartoon character part. Okay? TV show characters, book characters, movie characters, fictional characters. Peter Dinklage is a real person. Tyrion Lannister is not. Okay? South Park characters are cartoon characters, not real fucking people. The voice actors every single time, as anyone would know from watching the history of South Park, with very limited exception, are always Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Okay? And they have a very famous song on their TV show called Blame Canada. Okay? So I'm going to talk to you about the spell of Hell is South Park. If hell is South Park and Donald Trump is the god of darkness, then he's going to blame Canada. And he's going to do that, and he's going to try and annex it to control Elon Musk. Why doesn't Donald Trump just blame Donald Trump and let Elon Musk go? Elon Musk is not motivated, and this is independently of all this stuff. Those individual men for a long time have shown a long career trajectory where they are motivated by narcissistic tendencies. Okay? They're doing it for attention. If you get lots of money, you get lots of women, you get lots of attention. If you get lots of money, you get lots of hangers on, you get lots of attention. If you go on stage and you get bad publicity, you get attention, you get money. Okay? And then you get more attention. They're looking for attention. They're to look at me, guys. They're looking at me, guys. Okay? So you say, oh, no, Canusa, look at you, guy. Well, actually, Canusa a whistleblower. Canusa a nickname of who you're looking at. Okay? Okay? Krishna if you want. You want to be Krishna? You like the colour blue, do you? You want that to mean Krishna? Last time we checked, the blue grid idea, or the blue grid technology was invented in the 1970s, and Krishna was an idea that goes back to ancient India, not Egypt, India. By probably a couple of thousand years, and is the anti-caste motive. So basically, what you're dealing with is someone from the Dalek caste talking to someone who technically is also from the Dalek caste, the viewer, about people from the Dalek caste. So, in truth, the Musk family and the Trump family are from what we call Dalek caste. Okay? They're people from Dalek caste who've had several generations outside the caste system, and those generations have managed to accrue enough wealth so that each one could build up on it. Okay? and so they were the Dalits that became the Esquires. Okay, right? Okay, they're merchant class. Okay, they used to be Dalit class, and then they upgraded to merchant class. Now, actually, technically, in Confucian society, the merchant class is lower than the Dalit class, or the farmers class, or the workers class. But technically, so from the Chinese perspective, they're right at the bottom. Okay, the merchant class in Confucianism is at the bottom. So they've tried to, in Chinese terms, if you talk about Confucian terms, they've tried to upgrade their status, their case, by joining the civil servants class, because in ancient Chinese society and Confucianism, the emperor was used to be like god king status, but then the civil servants became a more upper class than he. So they had more power and authority and more respect. The civil service class was the most respected of them all. So they're trying to go to civil servants status, to upgrade their status from at the bottom merchant to what? At the top? Civil servants class. And they have to pass through the king phase, where they think they're the king and they realise the king is lowercase to the civil servant. But because they've never passed through farmers class or workers class, they never learnt the humility that comes from that. So even though their actual ancestry, their actual castes are Dalit, okay, which means that they're one cut above the merchant class in Confucian terms, they're still at the bottom in Indian terms, and they're still at the bottom in feudal terms. Okay? But they've been acting like they're not because they went through the Esquire phase in Europe. And then they went to a different country and became merchant class, because the merchant class was just above Esquire class, okay, and was created from that, in part. Okay? So the different ways the case systems have worked in China versus India versus Europe, and by the way, none of this applies to Australia. Okay, there isn't a case system in Australia. There is a issue of needing to be aware of how aristocracy has affected Australian society, and how corporatocracy has affected Australian society, and how the case systems of other countries have affected Australian society. So Confucianism, Indian case system, etc., etc. These all need to be acknowledged, but it isn't what Australian society is. Okay, it is what American society is by a different name. So in American society, they put the merchant class at the top. They've inverted the case system of the other countries. They put the merchant class at the top. They put and then the civil servants, so the politicians basically. They said there's not going to be a king. The farmers are right down the bottom and are the slaves of them. Okay, and that everyone must try to join the merchant class, because the people that founded the USA, George Washington, and were not freedom people. They were people who were wanting to be the aristocrats that they had partially joined and could never properly join. So you're talking about the pick me people, the people who were esquires, okay, but could never be part of the ruling class because they didn't have peerage. So they wanted all the signs and titles of the aristocracy and all the behaviour of the aristocracy, but they couldn't have it. So they said, oh, well, fuck you, aristocracy. We'll have no king. We'll have a corporatocracy, and it'll be ruled by esquire and ruled by merchant. And look how that's worked out. Well, the merchants know how to make money. The merchants know how to control, know that money is one of the means by which the aristocracy was empowered. So, of course, the aristocracy continued to be in power because of those connections over the last, 250 years or so, since the founding of the American Empire. And so the behavioural pattern you'll see from the Dalits, the Dalits whose ancestors became esquires, who who pretend they're from the merchant class and are civil servants and therefore ruling caste, is that they're the pick me people. Constantly looking for attention in the USA. Attention. Image. Style. No substance. It's all about the sell. Make a deal. So in that respect, Donald Trump appealed to the most common, lowest common denominator that goes right back to the founding of American history. Right there. He appeared as George Washington. And in doing so, showed the hypocrisy of George Washington. So is Donald Trump going to continue to blame Canada? Well, if he's going to do that, then he should kick Canada out of the fucking OPM. He shouldn't be trying to annex Canada and make it a 51st state. He should be kicking Canada out of the OPM. Getting rid of that doge fucking crap would be a good start. Acknowledging that means guilty of fucking treason would be a good start. Acknowledging that tech bro billionaires are not in working in the American best interest or the Australian or anyone else's best interest would be a good start. That's the problem with Donald Trump. His megalomania and his dichotomous thinking gets in the way of him acknowledging that he's actually just a slave to merchants that are slightly more smarter than him. And that's why he's sitting there doing executive orders that they're putting in front of him, thinking he's king when really he's just an esquire without power. He's at the bottom. The merchant class is at the bottom because all the cultures collided. And why did all the cultures collide? Because that's what happens when a seventh seal busts. All the cultures collide. So Donald Trump, we need you to acknowledge that the presidency is not a throne. That the actual culture of the United States is not supposed to be imperial, despite all the things that they've done where everyone in the world goes, the United States is definitely imperial. Imperial without monarch is more accurate. You sit there and act like it's a throne, and you've got these fucking attention-seeking pricks like Elon Musk and his tech bro billionaires hanging around you. It's corrupting your society. You are not draining the swamp by doing that. You are the swamp. And your deals that Elon Musk and Donald Trump and people like that made through the brick system with Doge coins and associated fucking things, okay, means that they have corrupted fucking loans from Russia and China, which they've laundered through fucking South Africa and Brazil and India, okay, to fucking cover their fucking tracks. Okay? They are not beholden to the American people. They are beholden to the shareholders as in accordance with business principles because they're mercantile class. So who do you think their deal is fucking with? The civilian? Or the fucking BRICS banks? Do your maths. The public is already saying that because they can see that. Donald Trump, you need to kick Elon Musk out. You need to kick Doge out. Okay? Don't annex Canada. Kick Musk out. You're blaming Canada because you think you're the king in hell.